Hi, and welcome to Temple Street, the show brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism. I'm Mary McCrossin.
And I'm Taylor Bartley. On today's show, we visit the new race exhibit at the Museum of Science, learn about Black History Month, and check out a Suffolk photojournalism class traveling to Italy.
We will also talk to Suffolk professor and Egyptian native Dr. Majid Mazen about the crisis in Egypt and find out people's favorite snow day activity. We will end our show with Katie Cully in the Critics' Corner.
But first, the news. The Museum of Science is currently hosting the Race Project, a traveling exhibit that attracts hundreds of visitors every week. Its mission is to generate a conversation on a topic we sometimes like to avoid. Farah Shamsuddin and Dawn Kadir have more on the story.
The new exhibit featured at the Museum of Science explores the concept of race and attempts to provoke discussion on this often ignored subject. The exhibit reminds visitors that issues surrounding race, such as discrimination, hatred, and stereotypes, are still a major cause for racial inequality. Organizers say this exhibit is necessary because dealing with difference is one of the most important challenges of our time. The Race Project gets visitors to see how our appearance dictates the way we are perceived. Dr. James Potachik, a professor at Suffolk University, has been teaching about race and society in the Department of Sociology for 10 years. He says this exhibit deals with the larger issue of race.
Really meant to remind us about how deep racism is and how subtle racism is.
The project, founded by the American Anthropological Association, originated at the Science Museum of Minnesota and so far has been featured in the Liberty Science Museum in New Jersey, Arizona Science Center, and California Science Center. This exhibit explores race from biological, cultural, and historical standpoints. It has a series of interactive pieces, artifacts, and photographs. It also includes several multimedia presentations that are both thought-provoking and attention-grabbing.
Your eyes just to see, how many stereotypes there are and how, race kind of affects your socioeconomic status. I was looking at that exhibit over there with the stacks of money that lenders would lend you, and it was interesting to see that whites and Asians were given whatever, their stacks are high, and African Americans were given $60,000.
The exhibit looks at race through three lenses: history, human variation, and lived experience. It displays countless photographs of those who have actively fought for equality. This allows visitors to view different time periods and how the concept of race has evolved due to advancements in society.
We work at a community center, and we brought some of the kids over. And they've been dealing with the issue of race and trying to figure out whether it is a cultural thing, it's a scientific thing, what it really means to them. We kind of stress the importance that the race isn't the issue or isn't what's important to who they are.
Despite some progress in racial equality during the civil rights movement in the late 60s, 50 years later, race still continues to be an explosive topic in the media, especially now surrounding issues such as the anti-immigration movement and racial profiling.
Among biologists, it is a meaningless category. In the United States, we've made it extremely important, and that goes all the way back to slavery and the attempt to enslave Native Americans and the attempt by entitled, superordinate white people to label, degrade, and place into oppressive circumstances Native people, Asian people, and African people.
The project provides powerful insight to both children and adults. It teaches important information that can help children understand that although we may look different, we are biologically the same.
The exhibit is a project of the American Anthropological Association and will be at the Museum of Science until May 15th. For more information, visit themuseumofscience.org.
Throughout the month of February, schools and communities across the country recognize and celebrate Black History Month. Organizers say they want to engage communities and bring people together to celebrate an important and often ignored part of American history. Paige Sullivan and Jim McMasters have more on some of the events.
Suffolk University's Office of Diversity aims to prepare students to live in a diverse, global society and appreciate the richness of various cultures. During Black History Month, the Office of Diversity and the Black Student Union are working to bring Suffolk students together in celebration and awareness. Anthony Beeman, Vice President of the Black Student Union, helped organize several of the events taking place at Suffolk during the month of February.
We started off with a Black Heritage Trail where we take our students who are interested around Beacon Hill and various areas around there. Our whole thing is that you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from, and we feel like our history plays a big part in where we're going.
And while Suffolk University is taking an educational route in reaching out to students, one community in Boston is taking a more festive approach. The Parker Hill Branch Library hosted its 18th annual fashion show featuring colorful African designs. The event, entitled An African Evening, brought community members together, young and old, to model on the runway, play music, and share poetry.
Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it fester like a sore and then run?
The evening was packed with entertainment, but the fashion show, produced by Mary Lycurgus and her granddaughter, Aminata Dakawa, who are from Sierra Leone, was no doubt the hottest event.
Well, for me it was, and I think for all of us, it was a very enriched cultural experience.
Local models walked the runway wearing traditional African clothing, as well as modern clothing, which Dakawa designed and made herself.
I always love to do clothes, no matter what. I just love clothes, shopping for clothes, and designing clothes since I was younger.
The celebration of Black History Month allows this community to acknowledge and inform people about their history, which has played an important role in shaping their lives.
I think it's important for us to know who we are, our roots, and to know that whatever happens, you have to know who you are.
While the community in Mission Hill celebrated Black History Month with a focus on fun and allowing members to become involved, organizers say they want people to remember and honor the narratives of Black history outside the celebrations.
To come together as a community, as friends, as neighbors, as a big family, and we celebrate something that's important to us.
Whether celebrations were educational, entertaining, or both, all events shared the common goal of bringing communities together and remembering the past in hopes for a better future. For Temple Street, I'm Jim McMasters.
Communities around Boston, including the Mayor's Office and City Hall, held special events and exhibits throughout the month of February. I'm certainly partial to some of those outfits.
While some Suffolk students are at their summer jobs or just taking a break from school, Professor Ken Martin from the Communication and Journalism Department is bringing a select group of students to Italy for his special photojournalism class. Katie Colley and Kristen Contreras have more on the story.
Where are we?
Firenze!
Firenze.
I don't know.
Florence is one of the many destinations on Professor Martin's itinerary for his photojournalism class, where students marvel at the Piazza di Michelangelo and awe over the architecture of the Duomo. Classes are based at the Lorenzo de' Medici School in the town of Tuscania, a campus located in the Italian countryside. Professor Martin says he feels Tuscania is the ideal location for his photojournalism class and took the time to tell us why.
You wanted to learn professional photography. If you want to travel to Europe, if you want to be exhibited there, then this is the class to join.
This medieval town, located between Rome and Florence, offers students the perfect setting to take pictures and mingle with locals in a rustic environment away from the tourists. Professor Martin teaches his students the necessary methods for working in the photography field.
The best parts about my classes, whether they're the classes in Italy or the classes that I hold in Dakar at our Senegal, West Africa campus, is the unexpected. And the unexpected, I mean it in a good way, that when you're a photographer and when you're out there and when you're meeting people, you never know who you're going to meet and what you're going to experience.
The unexpected is exactly what we see here, where Professor Martin and a few of his eager students shot inside the Sistine Chapel. Suffolk students not only photograph the breathtaking architecture, they also put on a special exhibit at the end of the course in Tuscania. Senior Mavis Wong tells us about her first time in Europe.
It was my first trip in Europe, Italy specifically. It was just such a beautiful place. The landscape, the architecture, everything was just wonderful.
Ken Martin has been a professor at Suffolk University for almost 30 years, and his students praise him for his eagerness to teach photography.
He teaches you a lot of things. You don't have to know anything about photography to take his class because he'll teach you. And it's great because you're in a whole new situation, and he knows a lot about the history, so he'll explain everything to you, and you get a good sense of what Italy is about.
This truly enriching experience abroad will begin this summer on May 16th until the 5th of June. This is Kristen Charis for Temple Street.
If you'd like more information about the class, contact Professor Martin at CJN.
This winter has been brutal for New Englanders. Even the most resilient Bostonians were gloomy after a record 67 inches of snow hit the ground in February alone. While trying our best to put a more positive spin on the weather, Tim LeBlanc and I went out on the streets of Boston to ask people about their favorite thing to do on a snow day.
Stay in and cuddle up and drink hot chocolate.
We're from Miami, so I'm not really used to snow days.
So were you really, really cold yesterday when it was really bad out?
Yeah, it
All
was cold.
Sit by the fire.
All right, so you had a lot of days to sit by the fire this winter with all the snow?
Favorite thing to do, but mostly I went to work instead.
Good for you. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
I'd probably have to say either taking my kids sledding or going ice skating.
Go sledding with my kids and build a snowman.
Where's your favorite place to go sledding with the kids?
We have a little hill in our backyard.
Go skiing.
Any favorite ski places to go, resorts?
Wachusett's good, or Neshoba Valley.
My favorite thing to do is go snowshoeing.
Definitely lots of skiing. I haven't been able to do it since she arrived, but I'm a big ski fan.
All right, thank you so much, and good luck with this little one.
Sleigh riding, absolutely. Take the kids out.
All right, do you have any favorite places to go on the sled?
I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island, so there's not big hills down there. So we got to come up here.
My favorite thing to do on a snow day would be to sleep in.
Stay inside because I hate the cold.
Drink hot cocoa.
All right, any preference in hot cocoa?
No, actually, anything I can find with cocoa powder to mix with milk and just stir it up and have marshmallows in it.
A frog pond. You hang down there. You bring out a date on a night. Yeah, that's a snow. That's not a snow day thing. A snow day might be playing inside and on the Xbox maybe with my brother.
Sliding, definitely.
Yeah, do you have any specific hills you go to?
No, actually I do it right out of my house. I live in Vermont, so it's right out of there.
What is your favorite thing to do on a snow day?
Wedding.
When I was a kid, it was to go sledding, but you can't go sledding around here. So I would say drink hot cocoa and wrap up in a blanket.
Sounds like a great snow day. Thank you so much.
Mary, you looked cold out there.
I sure was, Taylor. Hopefully we don't have many more snow days this winter. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with an interview with a professor from Suffolk and Critics Corner.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live united for education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Today, about 1 in 5 Americans is living with a disability. Over 50 million people, including many of our friends and neighbors, teachers and co-workers, heroes and leaders. 20 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act guaranteed every person the right to live, work, and participate fully in the American experience. We've come a long way since then, and we are committed to making even more progress in the years ahead. Visit disability.gov to see how you can help.
Temple Street reporter Farah Shamsuddin sat down with Suffolk University professor Majid Mazen to talk about the dramatic events in Egypt and his hopes for its future.
Today we're here with Professor Majid Mazen from Suffolk University.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm delighted that you came. How do you feel about all the recent news that's going on in Egypt?
Oh my goodness, it has been a roller coaster in the last 2 weeks. And I don't know exactly how to describe the feelings. One does not get a revolution every day. So it's very new and very novel, and it's a mix of trepidation and excitement. When it first started, I was very worried for the Egyptian people, but in the meantime, very elated of what's going on. Now that everything has ended up successfully, I'm more excited and proud of the Egyptian people than I'm trepidated. But there is some trepidation about what is to come.
So true. Some people are saying that Egyptians are not ready for a revolution. How does that make you feel as an Egyptian?
This is really something that came up about a couple of weeks ago, and it came from people whom I don't know whether they themselves were ready for the revolution. By definition, a revolution is something that doesn't happen every day. How can you be ready for it? You can't be ready for a revolution. You just live a revolution. So Egyptian people have proven to the world that they have lived thousands of years, but they added now 18 days. So the Egyptian history is now 1,000 of years and 18 days. And those 18 days are the revolution days.
I mean, the revolution did come as a surprise to people.
It was a surprise to me. I was there 2 weeks before the revolution, and I was stationed, and my hotel was actually overlooking Tahrir Square. I have a beautiful picture of that serenity surrounding that place. And I could not figure out, why are they, in fact, there's a book that I bought from there called Why Don't Egyptians Revolt? Okay, and another book that says, Why Won't Egyptian Revolt, ever? But you can feel that the country was boiling with something. You don't know what it is. What people did on January 25th was absolutely wonderful, surprising, educational, and fantastic in all measures.
I mean, that sounds like a really interesting book. And how do you think that will influence the rest of the Arab world? Just from
it has far-reaching consequences. First of all, we have to acknowledge also the revolution of the Tunisian people, who did a wonderful job also of ousting a dictator just only less than a month before the Egyptians. And then the Egyptian actually took over the streets and said, we have to live freer, with dignity and with honor, and we want more democracy. In the Arab world, there is an incredible recalculation that's taking place now. It's almost like you can hear the recalculation taking place. In Yemen, the president of Yemen announced he is not running for another term, and he is not having his son follow him. And it's almost like a copycat of the Egyptian regimes. And all these regimes have been copycatting one another. So there is an incredible amount of recalculation taking place now.
And I mean, it's like a domino effect.
It's a domino effect.
Have you heard of that? How they're saying that it's a domino effect?
Yeah, it is actually a domino effect. Not only among the rulers who are dictators, and they have been really pulling the ceiling very low, and as a result, people have been bowing to fit the low ceiling of rulers who cannot accommodate people in the 21st century. But also there is a domino effect of the people. The people are saying, why can't we revolt like the Tunisian did or like the Egyptian did? To give you an example, during the 18 glorious days of the Egyptian revolution, the ruler of Iran said something, announced something, that Mubarak should go because he is not good for the people and because we must have an Islamic regime there. Now Mubarak is gone, but the people of Iran are actually revolting and actually having some kind of demonstration in the streets against the same ruler who was calling for the ousting of Mubarak. So you can imagine every country has its own circumstances, many variables to control and to play with, and it will be a domino effect of a huge magnitude.
Yeah. And now that this change occurred in Egypt, will the country regain its power as a major player in the Middle East?
In fact, this change has proven and reaffirmed the power of Egypt and in the Middle East. For example, Egyptians have grown to learn that they are in the intersection of civilization. They are the cradle of civilization. They are geographically African, North African, Arab, Muslim, Middle Easterns, and they are really the controller of many cards of the games of the world. And also commerce-wise, they have the Suez Canal and all that. But most of the people who did this revolution actually did not live or actualize what it means that you are Egyptian. So now Egyptians feel that they really hold the worthy part of their role in the world, and they actually actualize that. You hear now of people, the rulers and the people of France, of Europe, of the world, actually saying the Egyptian people have taught us a lot, including President Obama.
And that actually goes with what you emailed. I know recently you've emailed faculty and staff of Suffolk University.
Yes, I have.
And you were talking about transformative learning lenses. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I know it has to do a lot with the younger citizens of Egypt and people even here in America, in Boston. I mean, students are now forming protests in Boston Commons. They're forming lectures at their universities about the topic. So if you could elaborate more on the transformative lenses and what you meant.
The transformation learning is a higher level place where you can actually take your students into, and as a student or as an individual, as a human being, you can find yourself into. And it's very simple. You can just begin to realize assets you had and you didn't know you have. You begin to question your own assumptions, and you begin to question assumptions that you have held for quite a long time as true. And you begin to say, I don't know if I want to be like that. As a student, and students who are going into transformative learning, they begin to feel the power of their own capacities as students, power for learning, power to be different, power to be much better than they are. And that's what the Egyptian people did. Who could have thought that the Egyptian people, the generation that actually did this revolution, is capable of ousting a regime in 18 days that opposition parties could not. So that is the power of transformative learning, being able to question assumptions that are old and decrepit and are no longer useful, such as you young people do not know much. Now the Egyptian cartoons, for example, are fantastic. A guy is getting into the room to see his son, and his son say, "Oh, Papa," and he said, "I'm not the Papa, you are the Papa." So it's the joking of the day is that these people have taught us a lot.
What do you think about the media coverage in the West opposed to, let's say, Al Jazeera?
Well, Al Jazeera, I have a satellite, an Arab satellite, where I can see about 7 or 8 Middle Eastern satellites almost daily. And I've been glued to the TV until about 3 o'clock in the morning because of the 7-hour time difference between us and them. And getting up in the morning about 7 or 8 in the morning, 3 hours of sleep to be able to do that. And Al Jazeera was not the only player. And in fact, they have become a little bit less professional, in my view. I used to like them a lot, in the sense that they began to make the news, to instigate the news. The reporters got more excited reporting the news than, for example, the BBC Arab World or Al Arabiya or Dream and other channels. But they did a good job.
I think I know. I understand what you're saying. Like when they're speaking more out of their
excitement.
heart.
They are feeling as part of the news as opposed to reporting the news.
Yeah, I understand that. That really does make sense completely.
Right.
And why do you think the government had to take steps to shut down the internet? And
it was, to be honest with you, this was a stupid move. Everybody, including people outside the government, said, inside the government as well at the time, said this is a very stupid move. The world is now global. People are connected with internet and cell phones and so. And this is a revolution of the Facebook generation. So it is really a technology, a revolution of technology and technology of the revolution.
And I just want to ask you one more question. Do you feel that Israel now faces regional instability due to the past peace alliance that they had with Egypt? And is Israel's national security threatened now that Mubarak has stepped down?
Personally, I don't think Israel should feel threatened because Mubarak stepped down. But I think Israel, being a country in the Middle East, must also recalculate its equation. Because now we have a generation that will not accept what used to be done pushed under the carpet and done under tables in the Middle East by presidents. Any president now who come to make an agreement have to actually take into account the people of the country.
Thank you for joining us here on the studio.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It was very informative.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. Back to you guys in the studio.
And now to a completely different set of problems. In this week's Critics Corner, Katie Cully reviews the perks of being a reality show star, the Jersey Shore style. Cabs are here, Katie's here. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Mary.
Hey, Katie, what time is it?
It's t-shirt time. The recent incidents involving birds falling from the sky and fish dying in the sea got many people believing that we are witnessing some signs of the coming apocalypse. What's another sign, you might be asking? In my opinion, it is the Jersey Shore's upcoming season filmed in Italy. Yes, that's right, people. Those juiced head Guidos and Guidettes are going back to the mothership for some much-needed GTL and a lot more MVP. Why is this a sign? Well, let's see. It's the Jersey Shore! Duh! Now, the more important question is, why do we feel the need to go to Italy for the new season? We have enough problems on the international front without having these talented individuals as our ambassadors. You might be asking why I hate the Jersey Shore so much. Well, first of all, I don't. I actually think the show is incredibly amusing and keeps at least some of America entertained each week. Part I am puzzled about, though, is how and why these people are elevated to super celebrity status. Snooki, The Situation, Pauly D, Vinny, Ronnie, Sammy Sweetheart, Jay Wow, and Dina. What have they done to become so well known and so outrageously well paid? All they do is get drunk and get into fights and hook up with each other. In case you live in a cave, let's take a look.
Jersey Shore! Jersey Shore! That was so much fun! You know who we are.
And for this hard job, they make $30,000 per episode and up to $5 million a year. It makes me feel like I should get drunk on camera, not study for my next exam. Take Nicole Snooki Polizzi, for example. She was recently arrested on camera for drunk and disorderly in Seaside Heights.
Where's the beach? Where the f*** is the beach? Where? Cole!
Her reward? She now has a new book and is making even more money with her endorsement of pistachio nuts.
Snooki does it with UV rays. Wonderful pistachios.
JWoww also has a new book deal, and The Situation has an iPhone application, exercise video, and a book out as well. Not to mention Ronnie's endorsement of Xenadrin. Pauly D and The Situation even do advertisement for Justin Bieber's new movie, Never Say Never.
I haven't been able to sleep. These thoughts keep running through my mind. That voice, that talent. This guy would kill it at the shore. My hair won't even stand up anymore. And I can't stop buying purple pants. I think I've got Bieber fever. I've got to see this movie.
It's gonna be okay, Pauly. Think of me as your wingman. Here's tickets to my movie, Never Say Never.
Snooki and her friends make more money than teachers and brain surgeons combined. How is this possible? Is it because they get drunk and hook up with each other? Exactly! I know that's why you all watch it. The cat fights, the drunkenness. You guys ready to be rich and famous?
I am. I'll be dodging grenades, that's for sure.
For Temple Street, I'm Katie Cully.
I'm Mary McCrossin.
And I'm Taylor Bartley.
Cheers.
Cheers.